Oh man, the fight's canceled. Canelo, baby, you want baby. I know that. And Terence Bud Crawford is canceled. Let's get unpacked. I'm going to cook y'all. But let's get unpacked. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to your live boxing ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to your live. Oh man, say it ain't so. Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. The fight some of you wanted to see is now reportedly off. Now, I'm really gonna cook y'all. And before I get into this unpacked and really take a deep dive into why I'm cooking y'all, I gotta start by saying this. I love my job. I really love being a content creator because at the end of the day, everything I say is recorded. My art is recorded. So if there ever was a doubt with me or any other content creator online, you can go back and play my old videos and what I said. And boy, oh boy, now is one of those times where boxing ego was real right. And now I got to talk my talk. So with the fight being canceled, first of all, let me tell you this. The fight was never on. I don't know why the people in boxing chose to play it like this, but they made their bed. They're going to have to lie in it. Isn't it ironic? Alanis Morissette voice. It's like rain on your wedding day. Isn't it ironic? The same entity owned by Turki, Ring, in the Ring TV, now owned by Turki. It used to be owned by Golden Boy, right? Supposedly, the Bible of boxing is the one that put out all of the rumors saying that Canelo and Crawford was ready to go and verbally agreed. Fast forward to the future, they are the same ones who have to come out and say it's now canceled. Let me show you. This is Ring's page, right? And just days ago, this is embarrassing. 2 days ago, they put up this flyer. Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford, agreement in place, out of nowhere. And people got hyped and people started leaving comments and yeah, oh man, started debating the fight. I told you guys pump your brakes, but we're going to get into that. Now they're using the same picture 2 days later. And what does that say? Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford fight is now off. So the same people who said it was on, they're now saying it is off. Very bizarre. The same day that they said the fight was on, they put out this graphic depicting Terence Crawford and Canelo. It says breaking news. Canelo versus Crawford Riyadh season event will be held at the Raiders Allegiant Stadium, right? Your boy Ego had several questions about this. I literally made a video the other day and I spoke my mind like I always do and said, hey, this seems a bit weird to me. You guys can say whatever you want, but to me, I find this weird. Canelo, first of all, he didn't say anything. That's strike one. And I made this video. The video's still up. In my thumbnail, you can see it. It says so many rumors out now, right? The video is titled Canelo Alvarez versus Jake Paul rumored and Canelo Crawford is announced too? Question mark. In this video, I show you guys something. I show you how if you go look at UNLV, there's 2 football games the first week of September at Allegiant Stadium, and then the second week of September, where Canelo would typically fight on Mexican Independence Day, right? They have a game. So I'm like, yo, how does this make any sense? Canelo hasn't announced the fight. Their ring is saying that they're going to be fighting at Allegiant Stadium, Exhibit A. Canelo Crawford in September is fighting in that particular Raiders venue. So I'm like, this just doesn't make sense to me. And again, here's the video I did, and I'm showing you that the venue, Allegiant Stadium, is booked up. So I was like, how is Crawford fighting September 13th against Canelo when they have this Idaho State University game in the Allegiant Stadium? So I'm like, this is not making sense, right? I made the video, and guess what? Day or two later, we find out the fight is not happening. Now, this is a terrible look. Turki just bought Ring magazine. A lot of you guys praised Turki, said, oh, he's saving boxing, right? This is masterful. I'm so happy because Turki really gets it. Meanwhile, your boy Ego posed very significant questions, and nobody would listen to me outside of Ego's army. And then now you guys find out you were bamboozled, and Canelo is not fighting Terence Crawford. For a fact, this is what I was on. Unconfirmed Riyadh season. So Turki Ring Riyadh season fights at the moment. Look what it says. The very first one I list says Canelo versus Crawford at 168. Ryan Garcia versus Pitbull Cruz. And Pitbull had a fight on the Benavidez Morel that he almost lost to Fierro. Then they're talking about Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney 2 and 3, right? So let's do the math. And for the record, I said, you don't see the problem with this? LOL, we don't need to know. Just make the fights if you can. #ego. I put this on January 19th. That was last month that I put out this tweet because I noticed a pattern with Ring and Riyadh season primarily. There, all these unconfirmed fights. Jaron Boots Ennis is fighting Teofimo. Teofimo's fighting Subriel Matias. Canelo Crawford. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, this is not conducive to the sport of boxing. Again, timestamps don't lie. January 19th, 3:03 p.m. I asked you guys, I said, you don't see a problem. And again, the first fight I put was Canelo Crawford. And I've also made videos about this. I said, in boxing, you get the fight done. You don't start blabbering and prematurely announcing the fight. This is a rookie mistake. Don't announce the fight until the ink is dried, both fighters have signed on the dotted line, and you're ready to announce for real. Riyadh season keeps doing this, and you just look at my list from last month. How many of these fights won't actually happen? Canelo Crawford, they just said is not happening in September. Ryan and Pitbull, we now know that that fight wasn't next, and he's instead fighting Rolly, right? Ryan and Devin 2 and 3, they got to get past interim fights. And then Turki said, oh, I want Wilder, AJ, and so on. I want Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury. Days later, Tyson Fury says he's retired. Again, you don't see the problem. When you start speaking about fights you hope to make, it does nobody any favors. And then now, when the fight doesn't come into fruition, the public is going to target you. And I warned you guys of this. Now, that's exactly what's happening. The people who are excited for Canelo and Terence Crawford, they're not going to be mad at Boxing Ego because I told you what it was. I said, let's wait till we hear from Canelo because I'm hearing different things. I also posed this question, which to me always made a lot of sense. Since when is Canelo announced his September fight before his May fight? How does that even work? How does that work in boxing in general? It doesn't even have to be Canelo. How do you announce your second fight when you haven't even announced your first fight, nor even if you did announce it, you haven't completed the task? This doesn't work in boxing. I told you guys that. And people get mad. Oh, why are you saying I told you? Because this is my vindication. A lot of people get it, but you do have haters, naysayers, detractors, other content creators. They say the opposite. They say, oh, Ego, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, you're tripping. Oh, you're just nitpicking. Am I nitpicking now? This is not how boxing operates. You don't start announcing a September fight and you don't even know Canelo's move in May or who he's going to fight. I think I know. But either way, you still have to get past it. You still have to get past that opponent. This is like unheard of stuff that Ring, now owned by Turki, what they're doing. And to me, this looks extremely bad. And I warned you guys about it until my face was blue. And now you guys must suffer. And I'm going to cook you. I'm definitely going to cook you. And I have all of the receipts. I posted February 3rd. So before this news came out, days before it came out that Canelo and Crawford is off, right? I said, boxing news is so unserious. So Canelo's September fight has been, quote, confirmed before he has even announced his May fight. Laughing my off. How does this make any sense? It's like having a baby shower before you get your girl pregnant. Boxing is full of morons. Do you believe me now? The tweets are all up. I'm showing you all the tweets. I said boxing news is unserious. How is Canelo announcing, or Ring or whatever, announcing Canelo's September fight? Now, let me move on because I know I'm cooking y'all. Because the receipts are there, the evidence there. This is what I said. And this is why I leave these breadcrumbs. It's like Hansel and Gretel. So I can always get back to this. So when I'm proven right, you guys are going to pay. And remember, at the beginning of this year, I told you and warned you all. I said there's going to be a lot of content creators who have a major fall off. And it's going to get real dark for a lot of content creators that are lying, clickbaiting, and moving through boxing with no integrity. I warned you guys that this stuff was coming. I don't have to worry about that because I know I do a great job. I know I'm the best in the business and it's not even close. I know these things and I know what I'm saying is true. You know, you could disagree on a fight prediction or something. Cool. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the business of boxing and how to handle the negotiations and stuff, the other things that I'm saying. A lot of you guys said I was nitpicking and I was hating and I was a PBC fanboy. Now you guys look very foolish because you guys said Turki's the face of boxing and he bought Ring and he monopolized boxing. Y'all made up lies, said he bought PBC. PBC never moves like this, for the record. They never announce the fights publicly and then come out and say, oh man, we couldn't get it done. So this just looks very bad for all parties who put out this propaganda. Now, moving on, I mean, I'm showing you that I'm leagues above these other content creators, Brand X. I'm showing you that. And I said this, I said, I want to play for high stakes at the beginning of this year. So it's going to get real dark. I want to play for high stakes. So if I'm lying, stop watching me. If you believe that the content I'm putting out, if you see it doesn't come true and the information that I'm putting out is consistently bad, then just stop watching my channel and punish me. on the flip side of that coin, if I'm telling the truth and you find out other content creators consistently lie to you and clickbait and, you know, trying to engagement farm or whatever, then how about you stop watching them? And that's what it's getting down to. Boxing fans are being toyed with, bamboozled, led astray, and tampered with, and getting, you know, all their emotions mixed up because they're thinking fights are done like Canelo and Crawford, and they're getting hyped, start planning trips. Some people are like, oh, I'm going to Allegiant Stadium. I'm buying my Vegas ticket. Imagine, I mean, I feel bad, but then I don't. And I'm gonna explain why. I feel bad because I know people have lives. Like, this is my job. This is what I do. Ain't nobody gonna tell me I do a bad job at my actual job, which is boxing, right? So I know some people don't have the same amount of time to deal with boxing, the ins and outs, pay attention, study, know what's going on. They got kids, family, jobs, girlfriends, wives, whatever, right? I get that. But I don't feel bad because I tell you I'm the best in the business, and be careful where you get your information from. I'm not just saying this for giggles. I'm telling you, there is a lot of low quality content in the space of boxing. Bad thumbnails, cheap thumbnails, bad audio, bad visuals, etc., and bad information. And if you choose to patronize people who don't really care about the integrity of the sport or are lying to you, then that says more about you than anything else, and it doesn't help grow the sport of boxing. That's what I'm here for, to grow the sport of boxing. The reason why I can make this video with a cool conscience is because I never was convinced that Terence Crawford was fighting Canelo, and I said this multiple times. I wasn't convinced. We never heard it from Canelo. Crawford really didn't say nothing, and we're just getting these random reports all in the same day, like a cluster. Oh, they verbally agreed for September. Oh, Allegiant Stadium. Okay, how is it going to be at Allegiant Stadium? And I just showed you on my video that Allegiant Stadium on that given date is booked up. Like, this stuff didn't make sense. Now we see why. How is it going to be at Allegiant Stadium September 13th when there's a football game in that same stadium? So I was like, man, I got to hear it from Canelo himself. And you guys said I was lying. I was hating. It's happening. You guys are in the comment section leaving fight predictions. And now people are playing the blame game. And that's what always happens. You guys deny the messaging, try to shoot the messenger, me, for keeping it real and telling you what to expect and what's going on in the sport of boxing. Not all, but some. You know, I obviously got supporters. I wouldn't have been around without great fans. Please smash the like button and subscribe. And I do get, you know, occasional haters. And they're the ones that are like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Bud's gonna knock out Canelo. How are you gonna knock out someone he's not even fighting? None of this made sense from the beginning, and I told you that. It doesn't make sense for Canelo not to be saying anything. Doesn't make sense for really even the fight at Allegiant Stadium, despite the clear issue where the venue shows occupied on the date Canelo fights in September, which I've already proven in an unpacked video, a previous one. Aside from that, Bob Arum told you Terence Crawford is not a good sell. He is not a superstar. We've seen 0 fights at the Raiders Stadium, the Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. State-of-the-art, newest venue. We've never seen a boxing fight. I don't even think UFC has done an event there. They were saying this was going to be the first one, but the date was already occupied, which is one issue. But the other issue is that, yes, Canelo can sell, but Terence Crawford, although he's a great fighter, he's not this big marquee star. He's never done 1 million pay-per-view buys before, right? So do you really put it in a venue that holds 65,000 football and you can probably configure it to 80, 90,000 for boxing. Is that the venue that you take that gamble? You know, I get it. The Saudis have money and things like that, but what would the ticket prices be? It just seemed like a disaster. Like, that's why I'm saying a lot of this stuff that was being reported, I wasn't too keen on. It didn't make sense to me. That's why this is not a letdown to me. Beyond all of that, I didn't even want to see the fight. I told you why. That's another thing. So on top of all these other things that I'm showing you the receipts for, that I got accurate and was correct, I told you from the jump, I'm not really keen on this fight because Crawford, he didn't look invincible. He ended his knockout streak. He knocked out everybody at welterweight, 147. At 154 versus Madrimov, he looked human. Then you're going to tell me it's a mega fight to see the same guy who started at lightweight, who just looked human in his last fight. He's going to take a year off and then jump up another 2 weight classes where he didn't do all this damage that people said he was going to do to Canelo, right? People are saying, oh, Crawford, he's going to knock out Canelo. I mean, it's possible. It's boxing. But why didn't you knock out Madrimov if it was that easy? Because he's at a much lighter weight. You could say what you want about Canelo, but he got a beard. We know he has a beard. We know he has a chin. So he can go 36 rounds with Golovkin, someone hitting like that, but then he can't go 12 with Crawford. I mean, it just, none of this stuff made sense. So I didn't even really like the fight. I don't believe in these rapid weight class jumps. And then I stated that. Again, you had a contingent of fans that agree with me, and then you had people who said they disagree with me. Oh, Crawford's going to show you, and it's an amazing fight. But then meanwhile, the actual pro fighters, from Mikey Garcia to people who sparred with both Crawford and Canelo, they were saying something different. Like Crawford needs to catch weight, or they would say stuff like, you know, Canelo, I think he's too big and strong. I don't like the move. That's too much weight. All the fighters were saying what Boxing Ego was saying. It was you guys in the comment section leaving comments telling me I was wrong about everything. Come to find out, doesn't look like I was wrong about everything. In fact, just the opposite. So I never really liked the fight to begin with. And I even challenge you, because when I said these things, people said, oh, you were wrong with Errol Spence. What does Errol Spence have to do with Canelo? 2 different fighters, 2 different lives. One guy went through a car crash. The other guy didn't. 2 different like national prides and, you know, ethnicities and stuff like that. So bringing up Errol don't really even have nothing to do with fighting somebody who's not going to give you any leverage like a Canelo. Like what are we talking about, right? And I said these things. The Bud buddies, they said, oh, you just hate Bud. You're just saying this because you hate Bud and Bud's going to show you. Well, let's see Bud show me and prove me wrong now that Ring and Turkey are saying the fight is not even happening. The other issue is I feel like you have a lot of guys in the queue that want to fight Canelo. What gives Crawford the right to just skip past all of those guys? That's another reason I didn't really like this fight. You're a great fighter. You have great accolades, future Hall of Famer. We understand. But that's in those weight classes. What gives you the right to skip past and get the fight before David Benavidez, before David Morrell, or even guys who are still at 168, like the William Skulls and stuff like that? This wasn't a good move, in my opinion, for boxing. It wasn't the mega fight that you guys were making it out to be, in my opinion. Could have been maybe interesting, but I didn't like the weight. The weight jumping was really got me, right? And the Bud buddies, they said, oh, you're gonna see, and you've been hating on Bud, all this emotional stuff, just to find out that Boxing Ego kept it real, and I was right. Now, what is Crawford gonna do? That was your money fight. And they're not even explaining what happened. They're not saying like, hey, the fight broke up because of this and that. But look for the content creators who lied to you and said it was happening in the Allegiant Stadium, didn't ask the questions that Boxing Ego was asking, which were very obvious questions, in my opinion. But, you know, they say common sense ain't common. And the people who lied and, you know, told you Terence Crawford's going to make this much money and Canelo's purse is this, and started talking about the undercards and the purses and the location and the Allegiant Stadium. Now look for those same content creators who led you astray to pin the tail on the donkey and blame Canelo, which leads me to my next point. This is not Canelo's fault. You know why? Canelo never said this. Canelo never said, I'm fighting Terence Crawford. In fact, in the past, he said, what's in it for me with him? Why should I fight Terence Crawford? He's small and no one's going to give me credit. So, I mean, we could talk numbers, but I don't really care about that fight. He's calling me out. It was Turki and Crawford who were insistent. And even Crawford changed his tune, because before he was saying, you guys don't know boxing. Why should I fight Canelo? You guys just don't understand weights and how this stuff works. He literally said on tape not that long ago that his max was 154. Now he's talking about fighting at 68. None of this stuff made sense. This was something concocted by Crawford and Turki, I guess, and they were pursuing Canelo. Canelo never said this. So how are you going to have content creators who have lied to you this far, and then they're going to blame Canelo? But how is it his fault when he wasn't the one in pursuit of Terence Crawford? And from my sources, he has a fight in May that he's going to make so much money. Think Mayweather, Conor McGregor. He's going to cash in and make so much money that why Crawford would really be an afterthought. If my source is accurate of who Canelo is fighting in May, and I've already hinted to it in my other videos, so you guys got to like subscribe to the channel to understand, right? Who cares? Like, why? I mean, who's gonna pass up that type of money? You know what I mean? And anyway, they were talking about Crawford in September. But again, I told you can't book fights like that. You got to let one thing play out before you worry about the next. I've already went over all of this. What happens if Canelo lost? What happens if his stock dropped? It was a perceived loss, like the Triple G Edeslandi Lara fight. What if he got a nasty cut that required more time to heal and he was not good by September? You know, you got injuries, people failing drug tests, all types of things. This is why you shouldn't negotiate with the public, because it'll make you look stupid. And this is what I told you, and I warned you guys all. So I never believed in this fight. This fight was never done. This fight was never done. You guys fell for the mousetrap and believed it because you kept seeing Instagram posts from Ring TV, right? And whoever else, content creators, talking about this. And this should tell you something. If you actually know what you're looking at. 2 days ago, they said Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford, agreement in place. What is wrong with this picture? From somebody that's been in the business over 13 years, I'll tell you. Canelo versus Crawford, agreement in place. What does that even mean? If you truly had a fight, wouldn't you just say Canelo and Terence Crawford have signed? So what is an agreement in place? Right? Is it a verbal agreement? Is it contractually binding agreement? Legally binding agreement? What are you talking about? Because if these people were not lying 2 days ago and there was a real legally binding contract or agreement in place, then why is it 2 days later they saying the fight is off? Now, that shows me the fight was never on. You guys just don't know what you're talking about. If just think about it like this. If somebody promised to do something and you had them under contract, you could easily sue them for breach of contract. If Canelo, because again, the content creators who've lied to you, they're going to have to try to clean it up now because they were way off the mark. They said, oh, my source tells me this and that, right? So they're going to push this notion that Canelo wanted out and pulled out and he's ducking Crawford, these things, right? So if Canelo had a legally binding contract and he were to pull out, that's a breach of contract. So I guarantee you Canelo will not be sued. He's going to go into his May fight. He's going to make a lot of money and he's not going to be thinking about Terence Crawford or Turki. But again, what is this agreement in place that Ring was talking about? If you had a actual agreement that was in writing and, you know, something you can hold the person to, you would do just that. And then if they defaulted on that, then you would easily be able to sue them and get some type of, you know, punitive damages or whatnot because they didn't hold their end of the bargain. That's how it works, right? So the fight was never on. I don't know what they were trying to achieve. To me, it looks like Ring didn't actually have a fight. Maybe they're hearing rumblings of who Canelo's going to fight in May. So they try to put pressure on him publicly by putting out all this fake news. And Canelo probably sent him a cease and desist. Like, stop using my name. Hey, get the out of here. We don't have a fight. Stop using my name. Stop clout chasing or whatever. That's what it looks like to me. And Canelo is probably like, get the, you know what I mean? Like, stop. You keep using my name for clout. We don't have no agreement. You know, because how does this make sense to you? Please let me know in the comment section. 2 days ago, they said, we have an agreement in place. 2 days ago, they said Allegiant Stadium where the Raiders play. So you have the venue booked. You have an agreement in place. Now what happened 2 days later? It just sounds like a lie. And I don't see how more people don't understand this. And I told you guys, this is bad for boxing because we are fans. We will pay for the fights that we want. Some people, not me, but some people wanted to see Canelo versus Terence Crawford. So if you fix their mouth, you fix your mouth up, it's like having a craving. If I want pizza, I don't want to settle for a corn dog. I don't want a corn dog. I want pizza. So you've been waking up all day and you're ready for a slice of pizza, whatever your favorite type of pizza is. That's what you want. You don't want chicken nuggets. You don't want like a Hot Pocket. You want real pizza, period. And that's why I said this is bad when you negotiate through the public, because you're setting yourself up for failure if you cannot deliver. People, they like the idea of Canelo Crawford, potentially, some people. And now, just like Ryan versus Pitbull, the old bait and switcheroo, crisscross. Hey, Ryan Garcia is not actually fighting Issa Pitbull Cruz. He's fighting Rolly. So for all the people that want to see Ryan and Pitbull, a Mexican American and a Mexican fighter, you know, real rugged guy in Pitbull, and then a power punching left hook artist in Ryan, your dreams are dashed because it's Rolly. You know, maybe some people like the Rolly fight better. I don't know. But this is why you don't do it, because too many hands in the cookie jar is always going to be a bad thing in boxing. And it's just a sloppy way of conducting business. And I'm telling you guys, I am the best in the business, and it's not even close. Look at my accuracy rating. You guys can play all these blame games and oh, Canelo did it, and I don't care about that. Are you making the fight or not? In this case, the fight is off. You're not doing it. That's what the fans are going to remember. Doesn't matter what you said or what your fight prediction was. Is the fight happening? Yes or no? And in this case, Canelo Crawford is not happening, and they're saying it's now off, which all this stuff looks stupid. So that leads me to believe there was never actually a fight in place, period. There was never a fight in place. If you truly have a fight in place, then you move different. Look at premier boxing champions. When have they ever done this? Said like Mayweather's fighting Canelo and use all of their Instagram pages and social media pages to advertise it, start talking about the venues and all this, and they didn't actually have a fight done. So you guys were like, Turkey saved boxing and Ring and Riyadh season. This is amazing. This don't look so amazing because the fans got led astray and went down, drove all this way to get to a dead end. Now what's Crawford gonna do? You guys said I was just hating. That's why I don't worry about it. I put out the content from the heart. I speak and try to do the best job possible. That's why when this news broke, people started hitting up the Cash App, link in the description. They started sending donations because you guys know I'm giving you reliable information in the sport of boxing. So this to me is just another day in the office. I don't get surprised by these things in boxing. I've been in the game so long and I know the rules and I know how the game is played. What they did here was sloppy. Hopefully they learn from it because you're only going to turn off fans from your brand. DAZN always has fights that get canceled. You know, all these previewed fights of Jaron Ennis and Virgil Ortiz and Ryan and Pitbull and Crawford and Canelo at 168, no rehydration clause. Everything, all the interviews about these fights, all your fight predictions, all the time wasted just to not get the fight. That's like playing with people's emotions. That's why I choose not to do that. I could easily jam out a bunch of videos and clickbait y'all. Boom, 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 boom. And put these crazy titles to try to lure you in. But I actually care about my brand. I care about my name. I have integrity. And I know that's not good for the long game. At some point, people are going to see you for what you are. If you're leading them down, you know, as the blind leading the blind, and they're going to see that you're not knowledgeable, and they're going to move on to people who provide the correct information. So again, I'm a big picture thinker. I was never sold on this fight for multiple reasons that I've illustrated in this video. On a personal tip, I didn't really care for it. Like Crawford hasn't cleaned out 154. You did one fight. You fight nobody. You fight one Anthony Durrell. Like, you fight one guy, Madrimov. And if Virgil Ortiz, I made a video about this, but if Virgil Ortiz cooked Madrimov and beat him more impressively than Crawford, that's going to age very bad for Crawford. If in his very next fight, Madrimov gets knocked out or something, which is definitely something that could be on the cards based on Virgil Ortiz, his power and his style. So I told you it was going to get real dark for a lot of content creators, and that time is coming. You guys don't even know what's in store for the rest of the year, but Ego Stradamus does. And I tried to warn you guys. You guys got it. Some of you guys didn't, but we here now. And it feels good for me. Like I've been telling y'all, I'm the best in the business, and it's not even close. The king of boxing talk right here in the flesh. So I'm not surprised. My sources told me what it is for Canelo in May. And even before I was made hip of that, I still didn't believe the September. Like I said, when have you ever seen Canelo announce his September fight and he ain't announced his May fight? So the writings were on the wall. So many red flags. That's why I said I blame you guys as fans. It's like a bad relationship. If you get in a relationship and the girl's possessive, super jealous. On date one, she acting crazy. You got to cut her loose. It don't matter how good you think she looks. She's tripping out on date one. That shows you long term, this could really be something. Because like, why are you acting insane on the first date and we don't even know? Like, why would I look at stuff like that? If a chick is acting crazy on date one, if you feel comfortable, I look at it like that. If you look comfortable acting like this on the first date, what's to come? You know what I mean? What's to come? Like, you're acting insane, you're crying and acting psychotic. What's to come if I stay here and continue dating? So I'd rather not find out, to be honest. And again, it's going to go dark. The lights are going to get cut off for a lot of content creators who are out here lying and clickbaiting y'all. I try to tell y'all, because people they're sick of it. They're sick of being toyed with and having their emotions played with for no reason. I knew this fight, you know, it didn't look likely. It's not even a good fight like that to me. And I respect Crawford. He's a great fighter. I respect Canelo. But this seemed like such a forced fight to me from the jump, because they're not naturally anywhere close. Like, I don't want to see Shakur Stevenson move up and fight Artur Beterbiev either. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about? Like, it's just, boxing needs to get back to the old days where the fights made sense. The moves made sense. And again, how did you guys expect Crawford to land this? Canelo's working with premier boxing champions. He's been working with them. He says he loves Al Heyman, and Al Heyman's a great guy. They've been doing great business, making a lot of money together. Crawford had one fight with PBC and then cut turf. He had the Errol Spence fight, did great in the fight, and then he dipped. And he said on dazn, he fought Madrimov talking about, oh, this feel bigger than the Errol fight. Yeah, okay. Did it make more money? Because they said you lost over $10 million. That's what I'm saying. You guys fall for anything. So Crawford, in my opinion, he could have kicked it and stayed with PBC. He would have plenty of options. Like Jermell Charlo would be a big fight for him. Murtazaev, you know what I mean? A lot of options. And maybe the Canelo fight becomes easier. But he chose to go to Turkey. And now, after they lied to you and said the fight was done in Allegiant Stadium, they said Allegiant Stadium, gave you this fake stadium, and Canelo ain't said none of this. And now y'all trying to blame Canelo. Like, oh man, I know it's him. How's it him? He never confirmed any of this. And to be honest, I don't know Canelo personally. I don't. But I've studied Canelo through covering boxing. And here's the thing. Canelo likes to move. He feels he's earned it, right? So Canelo, he wants to lead and you follow. You know what I mean? So even if there was, which I know there probably wasn't, an actual fight in place, the fact that you spilled the beans and kept posting about it, I think that would rub Canelo the wrong way based on what I know about Canelo. You're talking about what he's doing in September and he ain't even announced his May fight, and you trying to get in front of the bullet. Like, that's just bad business. And I don't think Canelo makes a lot of money, people. Canelo doesn't need Turkey's money or whoever else's money. He's made a lot of money. He has smart investments, etc. Right? And I think that would truly rub Canelo the wrong way, because that's bad business. Canelo doesn't really do bad business. Now, you might not like the fight or who he's fighting, but he don't do bad business deals. He's been in the game long enough. He got great representation. He got his homie Eddie Reynoso. He don't do bad business and start blabbering fights in the wrong order and stuff like that. This is looking like Turkey's I don't want to say arrogance, but ego. No pun intended. Turkey's ego. And you notice, like, Turki wanted Ryan versus Pitbull. Pitbull said, let me get past Fierro and then we could talk about whatever. Turki's like, nah, whatever. Got on the phone with Rolly and then switched the fight out. That is not the way to move in boxing, people. And that's why I said Turki's ego or arrogance or whatever we're calling it, that's not good. You can't dictate to a guy like Canelo. He's earned his stripes. He made a lot of money. He don't need your money. He knows he has options. Anybody making the type of money Canelo make for networks, they got options, period. You know what I mean? So you gotta come correct, right? He can rematch Caleb Plant and turn that into a whole event, right? So he has options. You're doing stuff out of order and announcing his fights before he get to announce them. He probably don't like that, especially if it was capped, which I believe it was. I believe the fight never was actually a signed, sealed, and deliver. And Canelo probably told him, stop using my name. Y'all out here posting all this fake news about me. And now, even if he was considering the September, Canelo probably was like, nah, because I don't do business like that. Because I'm the same type of person. Shout out to Canelo. I'm the same type of person as Canelo. If I was going to do a business deal with somebody and you're doing business backwards, is what I call it. You're doing bad business or janky moves and like out of order, and you're not like, things aren't on the up and up and copacetic, then that's going to make me back out the deal and be like, nah, because I don't like the way you moving. I don't like the way my dad was in the military. So I believe in structure, order of operations, chain of command, stuff like that. When would Ring be announcing Canelo's fights before Canelo? Like when Canelo picked Jermell Charlo, Ring wasn't announcing his fight. Canelo announced his fight. Same thing with Floyd. And I think Canelo wants that same treatment. He's like, Floyd had his time. I'm the man now. I'm the face of boxing, me and Tank, a fighter I like watching. And that's what it is. So I'm going to announce the fight. And I think he probably had that in his contract. Like, I get to announce the fight. Don't nobody get to announce it before me. Give me that same Floyd. Just like Floyd. Floyd got to announce his fight. You didn't get to see it through like a bunch of leaks and stuff usually. That's what I'm saying. We got to get boxing back to its rightful chapter. Boxing is a beautiful sport if you allow it to be, but you got people in this sport who don't seem to want to make the sport really grow. And that's evident based on the moves that they're making. Like prematurely announcing fights when you don't really have a fight, and then only leaving the fans to be disappointed. And now the fans is like mad and, hey, I bought a flight to Las Vegas to see Crawford and Canelo. Like, you know what I mean? The fans is mad. And this whole thing looks goofy. And that's why the sport of boxing don't grow beyond what it's at, because of stupid stuff like this. If you have a fight, you should only be announcing it when you're ready to do it, like a press conference and tickets about to go on sale. They didn't have all that. So why did they do all this? And then all the content creators who try to counter program me, who's been speaking out against all of this, moving like this, and all the fans who say, oh, Ego, you're hating and you're just a Bud Crawford hater. Bud will show you. What do you have to say for yourself now? Death Row East, believe in that. Do you believe in God? Then believe in Boxing Ego and Death Row East, West Side. So again, this for me is light work. I'm cooking, y'all. It's another day in the office. I don't believe the Canelo Crawford fight was ever a done deal. You guys can waste your time arguing about who's at fault, but the reality is you should just do business properly. Wait until you have actual confirmed, because now it becomes a different matter. If you had a legally binding contract with Canelo and then he tried to back out of it, then that's something different. So clearly you don't have that. And if you did, then you would be suing Canelo for messing up your, like, Allegiant Stadium. They put out, oh, Allegiant Stadium is booked. If you really had it booked, it probably cost money as like in the form of deposit that you may or may not be able to get back. So if Canelo messed up your bread like that, then you should be suing him. But they won't sue him because they never had an actual fight. Unless I see Riyadh season or Ring or whoever, Turkey suing Canelo Alvarez, this was never a fight, because that's exactly what you would do if you really had a legally binding contract and an actual fight done and Canelo stiffed you and left you foot in the bill. That's how you would handle that. But I know that's not how they're going to handle it, because everything that I told you, Boxing Ego, best in the business, and it's not even close, was true. We unpacked. This is just so fun. I love my job, but we unpacked.